From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Vaccinations in Butte are going so well that clinics are now open to anyone who needs a shot. I'll tell you about it coming up.
Construction and remodeling begins at the Zero In facility in Four Corners. I'm Gabby Krevitt, and coming up, we'll talk to the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office about their plans for the facility.
Good morning to you here, Holly Brantley with Chet Lehman and Matt Elwell. You are watching Montana This Morning, and Matt, we've been talking about how some of those passes may need to take it slow out there.
Yeah, leave some extra time if you're driving Bozeman Pass down the Gallatin Canyon. Both areas reporting snow. No significant reports on Homestake Pass as of yet. That doesn't mean there isn't snow there, but definitely dealing with less of an impact at this point in the morning. Temperatures into the 20s and 30s for the area. We've had some light snow reported in Bozeman early today. You could see some of that snow at times early this morning. It looks like it's tapered off a bit. I think our best potential is seeing accumulating snowfall mixing with rain probably coming into the afternoon. Temperatures are probably topping out into the low 40s by say 3, 4 o'clock, and then tapering off pretty quickly with some scattered showers on into the evening. The better potential for Butte coming from the noon hour through the early evening, but still looking at temperatures near 40. We'll, of course, look at your school day forecast, your extended forecast. That's all coming up in just a little bit.
Thank you, Matt. It's now 6:31. Wednesday was the first day Butte began vaccinating anyone 16 years or older without any special medical condition in its continuing effort to get everyone in the county vaccinated.
MTN's John Amy rolled up his sleeve as well and has our report.
Butte is already vaccinating anyone in the county 16 years old or older. Health officials want to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible.
That's the goal. You know, we're going to start really pushing to get the younger folks in, the high school kids in here.
Butte-Silver Bow has been one of the most productive counties in the state in administering vaccinations. The county recently lifted its COVID-19 restrictions on businesses and eliminated its mask requirement. For this reason, health officials say vaccinations are more important than ever.
We want to make sure we get everyone vaccinated so we can be safe. We don't want people getting sick. We don't want numbers to go back up because we don't want to go backwards. We want to keep going forward.
Many younger people got their first shots during this most recent clinic.
Very excited to get my shot. It's something that I've wanted ever since the shots came out.
I'm actually really glad I got it because I had COVID and it was really bad. And I think that if we all can get the shot and prevent it, it would be better for everyone.
And the volunteers that have been working these clinics say it's been a very rewarding experience. In fact, they say some people have actually gone out of their way to express their gratitude in little ways.
And the reason I do it is for people like Charlie yesterday, who gave me a note that said, "Thank you for saving our lives." That is why we do this.
Beginning at 3 p.m. on March 26th, people can register at the Butte Civic Center website for open vaccinations on April 5th and April 7th. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Thank you, John. 6:34 now. Last fall, Gallatin County purchased the Zero In shooting range in Four Corners for about $5.3 million.
MTN's Gabby Krevitt tells us the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office says they're a step closer to moving into the new facility.
So our goal here is to try and keep it public, other agencies, those kind of things on this side, more of the secure side on this side.
Last week, Gallatin County Commissioners approved just under $490,000 for the remodel of the Zero In Indoor Shooting Center located in Four Corners off of Jackrabbit and West Baxter. Sheriff Dan Springer says the facility has classrooms, firing lanes, a combat studio, and 25,000 square feet of space, with an additional 4.5 acres to allow for them to grow, and the location is prime.
About 60% of our call volume occurs within an 8 or 9 mile radius of this location. So it's a lot easier for our patrol guys to get from this location to pretty much everywhere rather than trying to run through the city of Bozeman. Significant traffic jam ups there, roadways that are really not built for the growth.
Construction on the facility started this week, and Springer says if things go according to plan, the sheriff's office can start moving in by June. Sheriff Springer also says there will be a Gallatin County Sheriff's Office presence remaining at the Law and Justice Center. And the new facility doesn't mean the county is done looking for help with the Law and Justice Center project.
Yeah, the Law and Justice Center project, which has a large focus on the court system as well as county attorneys and even a portion of the sheriff's office as well. But there's still a significant amount of work that needs to get done. But there are other possibilities out there. There are funding opportunities that maybe will be going out to the public. That's more of a commission deal. And I think at some point we'll start hearing from them as to what the future plan is for that.
Reporting in Gallatin County, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Also making headlines, good news for bookworms and book lovers in Bozeman. The public library will be reopening its doors next week. The library says they've been monitoring the COVID-19 surveillance reports from the Gallatin City County Health Department and the current patterns of lower COVID-19 in the area and increasing vaccinations allows them to open up again. A limited number of people will be allowed in the building for 30 minutes at a time, and there will be no public seating. The library will be open Tuesday until Saturdays.
We see our busy time between 10 and 2, but we are going to be open till 6. So, take your time. Don't feel like you need to rush into the library every morning. And we'd love to see that, get spread out a little bit.
Curbside pickup, though, will still be available for people interested in just picking up their books. Computers and printers will also be available for visitors.
That's awesome.
And yeah.
Also, Montana Tech cut the ribbon on a new electric lab to help electrical engineering students at the Boot School. Lab was named for Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories out of Pullman, Washington, which donated $1.5 million in funding and equipment for the Power Systems Lab, help students with real-world training and education.
We need young, smart engineers to help us, do our mission of making electric power safer, more reliable, more economical. And the fundamentals that Montana Tech is teaching these students here is just fabulous.
No better place to find young, smart engineers than Montana Tech. By the way, that lab located on the 3rd floor of the Natural Resources Research Center.
Well, here's a story to pay attention to. The Federal Trade Commission is trying to raise awareness about pandemic scams.
MTN's Coulter Onstadt tells us what's being seen in Montana and across the country.
So imagine my surprise when I came to my mailbox the other day and found 10 letters from the State Department of Labor and Industry Unemployment Division, all with my address, but for other people. Jody Galgay, Annette Joseph, Antonio Powell, Harold Berry III.
Turns out each name is a stolen identity, likely victims of data breaches.
Oftentimes they're large criminal organizations. They don't reside in Montana. What they want to do is put a Montana address onto the stolen identity. So they are going out online to real estate listings and looking for addresses of property that is up for sale. And they're using that as their address.
When the new CARES Act added billions of federal unemployment dollars into the mix in response to the pandemic, scammers saw an opportunity. The result, an uptick in unemployment fraud in every state. In Montana, from June 1st to August 31st of this year, the Labor Department's Fraud Detection Unit stopped $189 million in fraudulent payments, plus another $185 million in potential payments were withheld.
In most cases, we already know this is a fraudulent claim. What the mail is a downstream effect of that. We're trying to verify identities and incomes, and we're using mail to do that.
So what should you do if suddenly a batch of mail shows up from the Department of Labor Unemployment Division?
Please write return to sender on that, or NATA, or both, not at this address. And that will get returned to us. I encourage people, if they can, to stick it in a U.S. mailbox. We'll get it quicker. I'm thinking if the house is up for sale, there might be a hold on the mail, so the mail, the letter carrier is not checking that daily. If they can just throw that in the mailbox, it's great help to us.
Martin has also enlisted the help of the Montana Association of Realtors to help alert buyers and sellers to this latest scam. Your best bet, he says, is to alert the state's fraud hotline to report anything suspicious. The bottom line, if you see something, say something. In Billings, I'm Jay Cohn reporting for MTN News.
Again, that was Jay Cohn with the fraud story. Yeah.
Well, perfect.
There you go.
A dozen bottles of French wine and other headlines blasted into space a year ago. Well, those have returned to Earth, and scientists have spent the last few months poring over the results of their experiment.
This is interesting. CBS's Tina Kraus is in London with what the experts learned.
Station Houston on 2. All physical separation visually confirmed.
The International Space Station carried 12 bottles of Bordeaux for a year, not for astronauts to sip, but for scientists to study. The fine wine was packaged inside steel cylinders and remained uncorked until it landed back on Earth. The $6,000 a bottle red is being sniffed, sampled and studied, and experts say the bottles that went into orbit taste, smell and look different than those that stayed on the ground.
The one that had remained on Earth for me was still a little bit more closed, a bit more tannic, a bit younger.
The mission focused on how gravity and oxygen affect fermentation, bubbles, and the aging process. The mission organizer says gravity creates tremendous stress on any living species and accelerates some of the natural progression. Researchers found weightlessness didn't ruin the wine and seemed to energize grapevines brought on board. Snippets of Merlot and Cabernet vines grew faster than those on Earth, despite limited light and water. It's too early for scientists to know why, but they say the cosmic conclusions could start the countdown for grape growing and winemaking in space. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Super fascinating. By the way, researchers say their findings could reveal a way to artificially age fine vintages and help make plants on Earth more resilient to climate change and disease.
And what a business venture, $6,000 a bottle.
Blasted off into space and came back, and then you got to sample it.
Wow.
I'm
Love
in the
to know
wrong
how
business.
That tastes. Well, when Montana this morning returns, no more Greek letters for hurricanes that could be heading towards our coast. Later, the focus on giving each one a name of its own.
But first, let's check in with Gail King to see what's coming up at 7 o'clock.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS this morning, Eric Talley, the police officer killed in the Boulder supermarket shooting, is being honored across Colorado today. We'll hear from his sister with her memories of her hero, Big Brother. Also, a TV camera is allowed inside a temporary border facility housing immigrant children for the first time. And we're going to ride along with Texas troopers and talk to desperate people trying to cross the border. And only on CBS this morning, billionaire Rocket Company's founder and Cleveland Cavs owner, that's Dan Gilbert, talks in his first in-depth TV interview since suffering a stroke nearly 2 years ago. His journey to recovery and how he's helping his hometown. We're all pulling for him. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.